Hey everyone, today we're going to look at the Orberator and what I think are the most effective ways to use it. I apologize if the gameplay in the background isn't necessarily top tier, but what I have to say in this video is a lot more important than the gameplay. So what is the Orbiter? It shoots a single explosive projectile that can pierce multiple layers of blocks. In layman's terms, it's a rocket launcher. Direct hits do 50 damage to players, it takes 2.2 seconds to reload, and the projectile speed is 30 blocks per second, which is really slow. If you're making an Orberator loadout, then it's probably for one of two reasons: for rocket jumping or for demolition. The point of rocket jumping in Sector's Edge is to get a quick flank on someone and kill them before they realize what happened. You can shoot at the ground, launch yourself in the air, swap to your shotgun while airborne, then ideally lay next to someone and shotgun them at point blank range. A shotgun is probably the most common weapon to pair with the Orberator when rocket jumping, but really you can use whatever gun you want to with it. The only one you can't use is the railgun, because then you'll exceed the loadout points available whenever you select the Orberator. If you're going to rocket jump, then there are two mods that you should have in your loadout. The first is Hydraulics for the additional protection against fall damage, and the second mod is Kinetic for the additional explosive damage reduction and additional knockback from explosions. Rocket jumping for kills is high risk and high reward. I found that it's difficult to rocket jump exactly where you want to land. There'll be plenty of times when you clip an object while jumping and it stops you or affects your trajectory in a weird way. You're going to land outside of shotgun range a lot and you'll get sprayed down by the person who you were aiming for. You will also die from fall damage because you accidentally shot yourself straight up in the air and you fall 20 blocks to your death. But when you do land on someone and immediately send buckshot into their back, then all the deaths feel worth it. Yo. It works. It's one of the most satisfying plays you can make in the game. Overall, the montage and meme potential is through the roof with rocket jumping. I highly recommend it. As mentioned earlier, the Orberator can pierce multiple layers of blocks, which is why it's so good for demolition. The Orb is easily the best gun for destroying either the map around you, or your enemies' builds, or destroying your own teammates' builds if you're an expert level troll. It's great for attacking a canister and salvage. One reason is because you can blow down walls to create new paths for your team, which makes it harder for the defending team to hold choke points. In my assault rifle video, I talked about how important it is to use cover and build in Sector's Edge. Cover is really always important in any competitive shooter. The Orberator is a way to counter players who are using building and cover effectively. Because of the slow projectile speed, you can shoot the Orberator, immediately swap to your other weapon, and then start spraying the second their cover is destroyed. The idea behind this play is to spray down the player the second their cover is destroyed and they haven't had time to rebuild, dig, or disengage from the fight. This is a meta strategy in a game that starts with Fort and ends with you know exactly the game I'm talking about. An overlooked mechanic with the Orberator is that it sends an enemy player flying when they're shot with it. It's a very strong game mechanic in other games like Overwatch and Apex Legends. In a pro league or competitive playlist, the ability to pull your enemy out of cover is top tier because a skilled player, they're going to hit their shots whenever an enemy is out in the open. Creating chaos on the battlefield is a real life war tactic that's been used for thousands of years, except instead of flanking with a cavalry charge, you're flanking with a rocket launcher and a bottle of G Fuel at your side. Using the Orberator is an effective way to create chaos, which is what you need to do when playing against good players or an organized team of good players. If you're destroying enemies' cover, distracting them during fights, and displacing enemies, then that's a very difficult playstyle to go against. Don't 1v1 someone if you're just using the Orberator. You will lose unless your opponent is an actual potato. It's so bad for shooting at people. Like, it's almost pointless. If you're shooting into a group of players defending a canister, then you can pick up some kills if they're low health or if you catch someone who hasn't recovered from a fight yet. But the Orberator, it's not ideal for getting kills. You could actually make the argument that it's the worst gun in the game for getting kills, but that's not its purpose. I mean, it's like, just like that, it's like point blank, it only does 50 damage, so. If I'm going to use the Orb, then it's not going to be for rocket jumping. It's just too risky and difficult to pull off against good players. They're going to see you coming, and they're going to greet you with an AR, SMG, or railgun before you even get close to shotgun range. Like I mentioned earlier, pair the orb with whatever gun you're comfortable with, but use it to create chaos during fights. Destroy structures, create new paths through walls, and push your enemies out of cover. Even if you aren't getting kills, you're creating opportunities for your teammates, which is incredibly valuable. The great thing about the playstyle is that you don't have to be a good player to do this. It's a way to support your team without getting kills, which is pretty unique in a competitive FPS game. I think it's definitely worth having an Orberator loadout in your arsenal. It's a great loadout to swap to if there's a match where you're struggling and dying a lot. If you're a new player to Sector's Edge, or if you're struggling in a lot of matches, then try not to get discouraged. There's a lot of really skilled players in this game, and you may have some tough matches until you learn the meta and develop your playstyle. Hopefully this video was informative, and maybe it'll help you improve as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. No! Alright, here we go. What? Okay.